Happy New Year, everyone. 2024 is officially over. What a wild year. We did things like obsess over a tiny hippo from Thailand, had to pick between Kendrick and Drake, survived an election, watched the Olympics, while the Jets tried to convince us they were Super Bowl bound. It's been a journey. I hope everyone had a safe and fun time last night. I know I did. And if you missed the ball drop because you were out, don't worry, guys. Debo plays this week. From Wondery, I'm Agar, and this is the Offensive Line. Welcome to the Offensive Line, you guys. We're here to make some picks, talk some shit, and hopefully make you some money on this new year of 2025. It feels weird that we already got here. I did put the champagne down because we have to get serious. There's lots to talk about. In my New Year's Eve episode, just like I was on actual New Year's Eve, I am solo today. I'm kind of kidding, but also kind of serious. You guys know I usually have guests on. Today it's just me and you. Okay, we're going to talk a lot about what's coming in this new year and a lot of New Year's Eve resolutions, because that's what we all do around this time of year. I don't know what your guys' New Year's Eve traditions are. Mine usually consisted of being with family. I didn't do a ton on New Year's Eve, really. Not a lot of going out. Never went to New York because watching the ball drop in person, freezing my ass off in New York did not seem like the most fun avenue for New Year's Eve. We do things like, we watch all the games, obviously, that weekend. Then we'd either like go bowling or do something with the family, had really good steak dinner, stuff like that. That seemed more enjoyable than freezing in a bar or club somewhere. But to each their own, and I love it, you guys. I hope you had a great New Year, a great Christmas. Lots of big things coming in this new year. So let's kick it off with some New Year's Eve resolutions. I'm going to pick some teams from the NFC and AFC and go through what I think happened in 2024, what they need to fix, and maybe what their resolution is moving forward. Let's start with none other than the Dallas Cowboys, because it can only get better from there, right? How did their 2024 go? Let's start there. I'm going to say their 2024 was shady, okay? And this is pun intended with the whole curtain and sun thing. You had Micah Parsons getting on podcasts, talking way too much, I think, about this team. The whole curtain situation and Jerry Jones. And Jerry was way too heavily involved in this team again this year. I mean, we see it all the time with him. I don't know what's going on in that organization. So I'm going to say it's a little bit shady. He tries to be so open to the public by being involved in literally every organizational move in the program. But I think it's a little much, and I think that in and of itself seems a little shady. What can they do to improve this coming year? I would have said fire Mike McCarthy because as a Packers fan, I know that situation all too well. But we've gotten to a weird point in this Cowboys season, and I feel like this happens all the time, where they get a little too confident with Mike McCarthy. Like they're doing just good enough to convince themselves that Mike sticking around might be a good idea. And I have, just in case you guys think I'm making this up, okay? I have an article here that I was reading from a Cowboys, it was either a blog or from the fans' perspective of what they think about Mike McCarthy. Because I saw this going around Twitter and I thought there's no way after the season they've had, they would think, let's give him another contract. Let's keep Mike around some more. So this person said, and this is all defending him, by the way. It's just hilarious to me. They said that Mike, in regards to this, started the regular season with injuries hindering him and also had to start the season with one hand tied behind his back because of Jerry Jones, as we all know, because he wasn't restocking the roster. So now we're taking it off Mike. This was a roster issue. We're looking at a McCarthy-led Cowboys getting 3 wins in the last 4 games and managing to get the team to bounce back after a heartbreaking loss to Cincinnati. This is now sounding like a thank you letter to Mike McCarthy for saving the season. Guys, have we not forgotten that Mike McCarthy abandons the run like he's in a gym on New Year's Day, okay? He does not, he's one of those he makes those resolutions where he's like, you know what? I'm going to run more this year, and doesn't. It lasts like a day. And that's with Rico Dowdle, who's carrying a huge load in this run game, and I love him. I know there's talk about like Ashton Genty going to Dallas, and that might be far-fetched because I don't think he'll last till their pick, but that run game looks great under Rico. And for some reason, Mike McCarthy seems to go away from it more often than not. I think that might be what they can improve on, this run game. Cooper Rush, yes, he's been playing well, but utilize the run game, open up those passing opportunities. In December, Rico had 3 consecutive games rushing over 100 yards. I think he's very underrated. I mean, more so people are experiencing it now, but I think he's very underrated, and I think that's the Cowboys' fix to their upcoming season. That and probably firing Mike McCarthy. If you guys can convince yourself, you know what? I don't want them to convince themselves to keep him around because then we have to hear it all of 2025, okay? I don't want to hear anything more complaining about Mike McCarthy. Just get rid of him. Moving on, let's do the Philadelphia Eagles. How did their 2024 go? I'm going to say dramatic. As we saw, there was a lot of locker room drama. A lot of tension, it seemed like. We know what happened last year with Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, but we didn't really hear about it till the end of the season. I don't think we even knew about it till after the season. This year, they're airing it out. It seems like we had the whole issue with Jalen and A.J. Brown, and then Brandon Graham came out and called them both out on social media. Jalen got called out and then he called out the media. It was this whirlwind of drama in the locker room. And I think that could either be a good thing for them or a detriment. It seems like it's been a good thing so far because after A.J. Brown complained, they had that insane passing game. Passing game was working. Everything was getting better. I don't really know what's going on because, in my opinion, being more dramatic and having problems in the locker room does not lead to success. But apparently for Philly, it might. So what do I think they need to do to fix this? I'd work on team chemistry, guys. Maybe shut up and don't air your dirty laundry out to the media. And then blame the media for that as well. But what do I know? I'm not coming for Philly. I think they're a great team. I love watching them play. It just seems weird to me. It's a very weird dynamic. It's like the TikTok, like in the club we all fam. Okay, just be a family in the locker room. Okay, don't come for me, TikTok. I know the trends. All right, guys. They have one of the best running backs. You cannot waste this opportunity to get back to a Super Bowl. I feel like he's having one of the most dynamic running backs since LaShawn McCoy. Great defense that was very unexpected. Was a full 180 from last year with Vic Fangio. I think this team is very successful. Not a huge change in 2025. I will say win. That is my solution. That's your resolution, Philadelphia Eagles. Just win. Everything's better when you win. You have 8 of their 11 starters are top 10 earners in the NFL in their positions. They've won 11 games in 3 straight seasons. This team is scary good. Okay, it's a little scary, especially for someone in that same conference. As Packers fans, I don't know how to feel about Philly. It's tough. It's scary. But that's your resolution. Moving on, let's go to a team that is polar opposite of Philadelphia and straight up sucks, guys. I think you know where I'm going with this. The Chicago Bears. Oh my gosh. Where to begin? First of all, how did their 2024 go? I don't even know what to say here. I'll just say, what the fuck? What are we doing, guys? They did everything wrong. Absolutely everything. What can they improve on? Again, everything. I'm going to actually give some analysis here because I can't just hate on the Bears without actually saying things. It started with the whole Ryan Poles situation where he came out and said that they're going to take the North. That should have been our key. The things were not going to improve. I'll get to that in a second. So they fired Matt Eberflus, Shane Waldron. 4-8 after going 4-8. Thomas Brown came in, which people were saying he might be the new hire because he came in, sounded great. Sounded like a young Mike Tomlin, ready to get this team fired up, change the locker room dynamic. That did not go well because the offense looked probably worse. Defense looked worse. It was not good. Caleb being in the best situation, according to the Bears, was also an issue because now everyone's saying, Justin Fields Justin Fields would have had him in the playoff. Would have had him in the wild card, is what people are saying. So apologize to Justin Fields. Obviously, he wasn't going to be in the same situation. Caleb came into the league with the quote-unquote best situation and has now been sacked more than any Bears quarterback, I think, ever. It's bad, guys. It's not a good look. They're trying to look for new coaches. We've got a whole list of them. Ben Johnson, Joe Brady. Liam Cohen kind of got his name out there too recently, the Bucs OC. But it's a struggle. And for the Bears to fix this, their resolution, I believe, would be obviously to hire a new coach. But I'm going to go with stop lying. Okay, stop lying to the general public. Stop lying to your fans. Don't say you're going to take the North when you can barely even take the field. Guys, figure it out. Moving on, let's be a little positive because that was a lot. Guys, let's do the Green Bay Packers. How did their 2024 go? Super Bowl. It has to be Super Bowl or bust for me. That's my opinion. I didn't say that at the beginning of the year, but I feel overconfident now, to say the least, and that's coming off of mostly the Seattle game. Our defense is elite. Edgerrin Cooper looks incredible. We finally have a linebacker that can play the middle of the field. He can make tackles, make interceptions, get sacks. It's super underrated, and I think he's possibly a future Hall of Famer, not to overreact. What can they improve on? I would say this is a Matt LaFleur situation. Maybe stop challenging things that you lose. Be a little less conservative at like the worst part of the game. And it falls a lot on him. So that would be my main concern. I like how all the other pieces are working out. Jordan Love, ever since the bye, this team looks existentially better. What is their resolution? Win a Super Bowl. Okay? Okay, guys, don't let me down in 2025. All right, let's move on. The Detroit Lions. This one's a rough one. And before we get started in this one, I want to preface this with a little video. I had my brother, as you guys know, diehard Lions fan, do a resolution list of his own. The only thing was I had to have a little fun with it.
I have a couple of New Year's resolutions this year. First is for the Detroit.
Go ahead. I have several New
Year's resolutions. One is for Annie to stop cutting me off on these videos. Every video that I've done for her, she cuts me off. Please be a Lions fan, please.
No.
My next New Year's resolution, show up at Ben, whatever his middle name is, Johnson's door every single day. Love of God, stay in Detroit where you belong. Don't go to Chicago. Please, please just stay. And my last New Year's resolution is for Lions fans. I would ask all of you to pray. Please make the right decisions, onside kicking included. Happy New Year.
Oh, what a character. It's the pointing at the camera. That was hilarious for me. This man, and I say I played with him because I kept stopping the camera while he was talking. He'd get to his point, and then I would just turn the camera off or stop recording. So sorry about that, John. We love your New Year's resolutions, and it's a good one for Detroit. I mean, locking up Ben Johnson would be huge. I would personally not like it. I'm sure the rest of the NFC North wouldn't, but let's talk about the obvious, the elephant in the room, the injuries. As we know, there are 20 plus guys on IR for the Lions. This is unprecedented. I've never seen this many injuries in my 28 years. It's a little scary. Carlton Davis broke his jaw. How does that even happen? We know about Aleem McNeil, David Montgomery. It's been a rough year for Detroit, and people are saying, this is just a setback. It's the same thing as getting bad calls. You move, it's next man up, you move forward. If you want to win a Super Bowl, you have to deal with adversity like this. And nobody's going to remember, I'm sure Lions fans will, but nobody, according to people that have talked about this year for the Lions, are going to look back and say, well, they would have made the Super Bowl had they not had all these injuries. You just got to make it happen, according to what everyone's saying about these injuries in the NFL world. I feel bad for Detroit. I do. I think of Detroit as a loving brother. Maybe that's very fitting, actually. I don't want to see them fail. And I hate that it's coming down to injuries because I'd love to just know if they could make it or not on their own without all these setbacks. But it's a tough year. So what can they improve on other than the injuries? The big thing with the injuries too is what is it the result of? Is it the turf situation? I know David Bakhtiari has a whole thing about the turf. But it could be the whole Dan Campbell idea of biting kneecaps, right? You're aggressive every single play. I don't know if that wears guys down or not. I didn't play the game, so I don't have that insight. The next time I have a former player on, I will ask them because I'm sure they have a good, some good experience, and they can fill us in on that. My resolution for the Detroit Lions: go for more fourth downs. Onside kick more. Why not onside kick in the second quarter? Dan, get creative. This guy's so conservative. I would love to see a little bit more risk out of Dan Campbell. That's what I would say. Coming up, guys, we dive into the AFC and wrap up their 2024 the only way I know how, offensively. All right, guys, it is the most wonderful time of the year for getting in on all the hoops, football, and hockey action at DraftKings Sportsbook. In the season of giving, we're being gifted college and pro football, basketball, and pro hockey too, almost 24/7. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TOL. That's code TOL for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Happy holidays from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/FT Ball.
Welcome back, guys. Let's dive into the AFC. As you know, we're doing New Year's resolutions, so let's start with the Buffalo Bills. First off, how did their 2024 go? I'm going to say unanimous, as in MVP unanimous vote for Josh Allen. And this has only happened, I think, a couple times. One was Tom Brady, one was Lamar. I'm expecting it to be that unanimous, depending on how the rest of the season plays out. But Josh Allen, man, he is doing it all on his own. And to the point where I even made a joke earlier, I think it was before the season even started, when they got rid of Diggs, how Josh Allen might throw to himself. And he literally did one game. Okay, he did. And now, obviously, we know he's got the addition of Amari Cooper, help Matt Collins, Keon Coleman. It's been a great Bills team, and James Cook is getting more involved. Like this offense has absolutely hit their stride since the bye week. They're averaging like 40 plus points per game. James Cook is rolling. It's a great team. It's a scary Super Bowl team. What can they improve on, though? And that leads into our resolution. I think it's just going to come to defense. I mean, they had a great game against the Lions. Their D-line looked good thanks to Ed Oliver. A ton of 25 quarterback pressures. The issue, though, is you gave up 40 plus points in 2 consecutive games to the Lions and to the Rams. Not a great look. And I know Josh Allen can put the points up. We know their offense is great, but I don't think you want it to come down to that every single game. But man, as long as that lasts, I'd bet the over on literally every Bills game. Okay, their resolution, I think their resolution has to be make it to a Super Bowl. And not even make it to a Super Bowl, because we don't want to talk about those 4. I'd say win the Super Bowl. And please do it. So at least make it to the Super Bowl so that the Chiefs don't make it. I don't want to watch another year of that. Nobody wants to see a three-peat other than Chiefs fans. Okay, let's move on. The New York Jets / Aaron Rodgers, because we all know he's the main part of that. How did their 2024 go? I'm going to say pretty awful. About as bad as could be expected. It's very on brand for Rodgers to find his rhythm and Devontae to look great literally the week after they get eliminated from the playoffs. Rodgers is not himself. And I know he dealt with a lot of injuries this season. He had a sprained ankle, I think, and a knee and a bruised ego, which is pretty typical of him. It was rough. It was a rough look. And I know going into the season, they didn't need Hall of Fame Rodgers because they thought they had this defense to rely on. That didn't work out. So it's an issue. People are already talking about whether or not he comes back next year with the Jets. Guys, people have thrown around Sam Darnold. What level of hell would this man have to be to return to the New York Jets? I don't see that happening, but that's what shows what I know. As we know, Rodgers is not cheap to keep around, guys. He's due $35 million option bonus at the start of 2025, along with a $2.5 million base salary. There might be a way to negotiate this. Maybe if he says something about keeping Devontae around and they can play together, because we all know how much Aaron loves his friends. What can they improve on? I'm just going to say everything. What is their resolution? I would seriously tear down the organization, rebuild. They're pretty much there. Fired everybody. Just start over. Like I said, the Sam Darnold thing. Desperate times, guys. Let's do the Baltimore Ravens. How did their 2024 go? I would say it was up and down, because we remember at the start of the season, we were concerned. I mean, we'd hyped this team up so much, and start off with 2 losses was pretty rough. One being to the Raiders. It was a tough start to the 2024 season. What can they improve on? Guys, I think Ravens fans know where I'm going to go with this. You have Derrick Henry, you have Lamar, insane talent. However, Quit getting penalties. Oh my good God. The Ravens have an NFL high number of penalties this season. They gave up 109 penalty yards against the Raiders, 80 against the Steelers. This is an unprecedented number of penalties by the Ravens. And John, I don't know if it comes down to you. This would not be the first time that a Harbaugh is not well disciplined, okay? Fix your team and the penalties. You can't keep giving up this many. That was when they played the Giants, that was literally the only Giants momentum, was that they would keep the drive alive because they had so many defensive penalties called on the Ravens. It's kind of ridiculous. The penalties are going to have a 1,000-yard season, okay? Figure it out, John. That's what the Ravens need to work on. Their resolution, other than that, is just to be more disciplined, like I said. Let's do the Cincinnati Bengals. And you know what? I'm going to not be as mean to some teams because this is all about new starts. That being said, the Cincinnati Bengals 2024 season was bad. It was bad, guys. I gave Zach Taylor a little leeway because at the start, we all know he's worthless until like week 3 anyway, which that's a him problem. But the defense let down Joe Burrow in Drew Brees-esque ways, okay? I was sad. It was very sad. The one game where Jordan Battle fumbled the ball before he crossed the goal line. That might be the only touchdown that their defense has prevented all season. It's pretty bad. It's a bad look. Tough for Joe Burrow. So what can they improve? And what is their resolution? I would say is to make Joe happy. He's your franchise guy. He's clearly not happy. He was arguing with Zach Taylor. I can't remember what game it was after now, on the sideline after a win. And he said it was embarrassing. If your star guy is that upset and you're not trying to make him happy, what are we doing? And then they got the whole Jamar Chase T. Higgins situation. Figure out your wide receivers, lock them up if it makes Joe Burrow happy. Literally anything that makes Joe Burrow happy, do it. Go to Women's Warehouse. I don't think that's a store, but go to some women's suit place, buy him as many suits as he wants to make this man happy, okay? Go get him some more hair dye. Get him some more highlights. Whatever will make Joe Burrow happy, that's your New Year's resolution. Focus on your franchise guy, pay your wide receivers, and get this figured out. Moving on, last but certainly not least, especially if you ask them, the Kansas City Chiefs. How did their 2024 go? Unexpectedly wild. We knew the Chiefs were looking to three-peat, and I figured the season might be a little weird because their focus is Super Bowl. So all these games that were close at the start of the season, we were thinking maybe they're just reserving all their clever plays. They're not trying to blow teams out quite yet just because they're the Chiefs. They don't have to. Just make it to the Super Bowl. Then they can pull out all their trickery. That did not happen, I feel like. That is not the case here. And in terms of what they need to work on, what they need to improve on, I would say it all starts with the O-line. As we know, Mahomes had a little mild ankle tweak, which sent the NFL into a spiral, especially Chris Collinsworth. I think it comes down to the O-line and specifically their left tackle. You got Humphreys, whether it's Tooney, it's not great. Mahomes doesn't even have enough time and or space to shake off these rushers. It's a totally different Mahomes. He can't be creative back there because they're on him in 2 seconds. And I think that's a left tackle situation. So that's what I would say your focus is. Your New Year's resolution, why not try to win a Super Bowl with Carson Wentz? You know what? If you want to impress the NFL, of course you can win a Super Bowl with Pat Mahomes. If you really want to impress this Kansas City, do it with Carson Wentz, okay? I would love to see it. I would love to see that. Why not show how good your team is with a little Super Bowl run with Carson Wentz? Man, wouldn't that be hilarious? Imagine they play the Eagles. That would be hysterical. I would pay big money to see that. All right, guys, that wraps up my resolutions for the AFC and NFC. When we come back, we're going to do a few offensive things that happened in 2024. Welcome back to the offensive line, you guys, the New Year edition. 2025 is here, and we're going to recap the top 5 most offensive things that happened in the year of 2024. Starting with number 5, Shannon Sharpe going live on Instagram. I know you guys remember this, okay? Did not happen that long ago. And I think it's ingrained in our brains for a little bit too long. But the funny part about this is that same week, the Cowboys took a worse pounding and lost to the Saints 44-19. 2 atrocious things that our eyes had to experience in the same week. Luckily, it wasn't really our eyes. It was more our ears. But either way, it was pretty bad. Coming in at number 4, this wasn't a game and it wasn't a situation. This was a certain man that we all had to experience this year, and he goes by the name of Kirk Cousins. Now, I love Kirk. I think he's a great guy. He's from a town over from my hometown in Michigan. But this was a rough year for Kirk Cousins stands. Okay, this was started with the swag surfing in Atlanta. We thought this was, he'd adapted to Atlanta. He looked great. We thought it was going to be a great year for him. That was not the case. He's now scammed Atlanta out of $180 million. Probably got booed by his own fan base in Minnesota, where everybody was attributing it to the Vikings. Oh no, that was probably Atlanta fans. And now the worst part of this whole situation is he was benched for the very rookie quarterback that when he was drafted, we accused the Falcons of looking like idiots. Who is the idiot now, guys? Probably us. Coming in at number 3, the third most offensive thing that happened in 2024, the Kansas City Chiefs and their record. These one-possession games were crazy this year. It all started with the Ravens, the Isaiah Likely toe out of bounds. Then I'm going to go through the list here of what these games came down to, okay? Against the Bengals, it was a PI call. 4th down stop against the Falcons. Blocked field goal against the Broncos. A game-winning field goal against the Panthers. A touchdown in overtime on the first drive against the Bucs. You guys remember that Baker Mayfield exasperated look when they flipped the coin and he knew that the game was over because it's Mahomes. And lastly, the Raiders turned the ball over when a field goal would have won them the game. It's just an absolute insane amount of luck for the Kansas City Chiefs. And frankly, I find that offensive. Coming in at number 2, now guys, we're down to the 2 most offensive things that happened in 2024. This one is probably expected. I'm surprised it's not number 1, but there are worse things out there. Ohio State losing to Michigan again. 4 years in a row, you're telling me this team couldn't beat Michigan. It's absolutely egregious. Ryan Day, John Cooper 2.0, whatever you want to call him, terrible. Play calling was atrocious. Chip Kelly, supposed to be this offensive genius. I can't tell you, a 3rd and long, and they hand the ball off. It was a pitiful game. It took years off my life watching that. You guys know my disdain for the University of Michigan. And it was not enjoyable. It was not fun. It pretty much ruined my 2024. So thank you, Ryan Day, for that. And lastly, guys, coming in at number 1. I feel like this is just kind of a hate rant for me. But coming in at number 1, the most offensive thing, which is kind of ironic because they have no offense, that happened in 2024 is the entire Chicago Bears organization. It might be cheating to say that it's just the whole organization instead of one specific thing, but that's okay. I'll name off specific things, okay? How about Tyreek Stevenson completely ignoring that the game was happening, missing a Hail Mary that literally led to the drop-off of the Chicago Bears the entire rest of the season? How about the blocked field goal against my Green Bay Packers that also led to the fallout of the Chicago Bears their entire season? How about wasting another quarterback's talent, or lack thereof, another season? How about firing your head coach? Need I say more? Whenever I kept thinking of the most offensive thing that happened this season, every single thing came back to the Chicago Bears. So, in general, I am saying the worst and most offensive thing to happen in 2024 is the entire Chicago Bears organization. Ryan Poles, good luck. All right, guys, just because I'm by myself on this episode does not mean I don't get to rant, even though I kind of just did. We still have no offense. A safe place to get things off your chest. This time we're going to do it a little differently though, because it is New Year's. No offense 2024, but you stressed us out. Don't get me wrong, some good things came out of this year. The Olympics, a new college football playoff, the memes of Scotty Scheffler getting arrested. Then there was the social media side. We had the Rizzler, Hawk Tua, the Four Seasons baby. But you made us more stressed out than Jameis Winston trying to not throw to the other team. You felt like that text from your mom asking if you're bringing a girl home for Christmas or if you got the job. You did that, okay? You pressured us to grow up this year, to invest in stocks, to have kids, to take a look at the housing market and realize how expensive it is. Do we hate you for it? No, 2024. But you know what? Sometimes we want to sit on our couch on Sundays, consuming 7 hours of sometimes commercial-free football, all while eating our weight in Wingstop and looking at our sports betting accounts. And you know what? That's okay, because in 2025, we're going to take that all back, okay? This is our year. I sound just like the Dallas Cowboys. I just want to take a minute to thank all of you guys for this 2024 year. I had a great year, and I could not have done it without all of you. The followers, my listeners, you guys are absolutely incredible. I want to give a shout out to my team that helps put the podcast together, my producers. Everything has been so amazing this year, and we're only trending upward. We're going to keep bringing you guys more content. So I appreciate every single one of you for following, for watching the videos, for listening to the pod. Let's have a 2025. That is it for this week on the offensive line, you guys. Be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. You can watch our full podcast episodes on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. I hope you guys have an amazing 2025. We're going to have a great Super Bowl. It's going to be a great year. And as always, you guys, Des didn't catch it. Just like last night, the ball dropped.